Okay, so it was on time tonight, so.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome to December, I had to decide what month it was, December's Quality of Life Committee meeting. And Pat Moore, the chair, Mariana James, the co-chair, will be here at Zoom. And Zach Bomber, our district manager, is here. And we're gonna get started. So we have the first precinct has come to talk to us about what's going on in the neighborhood.
Yes.
So introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Officer Michael Rockwolski with the First Precinct Community Affairs. Obviously, the biggest thing that everybody knows about is the unfortunate, homicide that we took on John Street. I know at the First Precinct Community Council meeting, there was a lot of, if you were there was a lot of concerns that this was a targeted, I guess, attack, you could say, because somebody said in the paper, well, it made to the papers that they went for this person because they said, oh, you speak English. That's completely false. So that's a lie. It was generally what we believed has happened. Again, the investigation is still ongoing, but it seems that this was two crews that met up on the same block. They both groups displayed weapons, and unfortunately, one of them that was attacked lost his life. The investigation is still ongoing. There's multiple units working this case, homicide, our first precinct detective squad, crime scene. So it's still ongoing. Any other questions related to that? That's only, what I just said is the only thing I can answer about.
Is a crew a gang?
Yeah, so it's just our way of saying it, but yeah.
I'm sorry, Jill, I missed that question.
So pretty much like how at the first precinct meeting, council meeting, there was the speculation that, the one person asked, oh, do you speak English? And that's why they attacked him. That's completely false. That's somebody who just said it that out of thin air and made it to the papers, and that's why they pulled him over. But it seems with everything that it was just two rival gang crews that ended up on the same street.
Also, we think it was gay.
Yes, that's what we believe. And they both displayed weapons, and unfortunately, 17-year-old lost his life.
And his friend was hurt, right?
His friend was hurt. I don't know the extent of it right now, but that's all I can say about the investigation.
Yeah.
It is still ongoing. You know, I do believe that we have wanted flyers, but we just can't distribute them.
Yeah, that's fine.
So,
Do we have gangs? Are these neighborhood?
no, so and that's another thing, they're not from around here, as far as we know. But generally, no, First Precinct does not have gangs.
Go in order. Go around the table.
So that meeting was pretty fiery, and what you heard a lot in that meeting was a lot of complaints about it being a sort of an information vacuum, and you guys answered it really well, that there are things that we release and we release intentionally and
Right.
so on and so forth. That said, the next day out came images and whatnot. And what can be done to get ahead of that so that people don't feel that way in the future?
So again.
It was the very next day, you know?
Right, yeah, so when it comes to distributing information, we have to, again, make sure that it's clear through our ECPI office, because, and I do understand we should have put something out, but we can't just blast something out, like the thing, like what I said about with, whoever put out with the statement, oh, you don't speak English, that's why I'm gonna attack
Sure.
you, we can't just say that, because now that jeopardizes our case and how we have to go
Sure.
handling this through legal way. But yeah, we're gonna start being on top of everything like that. We just have to get clearance first. So
Yeah.
that's.
So that was the big takeaway from that meeting.
Right,
Anyway,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, it happened, on John Street in front of the Dwayne Reed, and I was wondering, there's a smoke shop or convenience store slash smoke shop across the street, and I was wondering if it had anything to do with the fact that the so-called smoke shop was across the street. Was this like perhaps the meeting point for the two gangs, or is that?
No, that being there, that's just a coincidence.
sorry.
As far as I know, that has nothing to do with it.
Because, one of the things we concerned about is all the.
Yeah.
smoke shops.
And when it comes to smoke shop, that has to be directed through the sheriff's department. They're the ones who initiate the whole thing.
I know, I just thought maybe perhaps that was the locus of the meeting. between gangs.
No, that wasn't.
Brenda? Did you want to give us any statistics? As you said, at the meeting, Captain Victor said actually crime's down, right?
Generally, yes. If you give me like a full, statistic.
If you don't have it, it's okay. I remember there was like 2 rapes last year and only 1 this year, and mostly the crimes,
Generally down, yeah.
yeah.
Is that for December or for the whole year?
I think it's just December to date, I think. Any other questions? Wow, no? No? Public? Anybody?
Generally, we're down. Obviously, still the biggest thing is with our larcenies, those will always, some would be neck and neck. But other than that, everything just seems to be down.
Okay.
You said what, larcenies?
Yeah,
So just like all the people that are going into Wayne Reed's.
Dwayne Reed's, and especially in Soho, you know, you take one jacket out of Louis Vuitton, it's $1,000. So,
But there's gonna be some new legislation, right, to address that?
oh,
I thought, yeah, I thought they were gonna try to, because I think they need to make it fine again, like, you know, start to arrest people for it. Also, the jumping, I stood in the train station at, Chambers and Church. I stood there for about 15 minutes, I was waiting for someone, and 4 people jumped the turnstile while I was there. Express.
Yeah, that's,
And then you heard today, they announced they're gonna raise the fare, so they're gonna be.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
300.
yeah.
You
Looking
know,
at you like you know.
that's out of my purview.
Yeah. There are, I feel like there's more like public drug use. Is anybody else noticing that?
I mean, I've
What
seen
kind
it a
of
lot
drugs?
in the last few years, but, you know, not
What
anymore.
kind of drugs?
Needles everywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Down here?
Yeah.
Where you guys are? Are you finding that?
I personally, I haven't seen that, but again, if you do see it, definitely
Yeah.
one,
Yeah, no, we've caught it because a lot of times, you know, you don't want to pick that up, obviously, you know.
No, we want to get professionals to. pick.
Yes.
no, oh, with the needles, yeah, no, I would not touch those.
Yeah, who, well, yeah, there's.
You guys have a unit or something that can collect them.
I think we see them, I think we'll just voucher them, but generally, I think EMS is the ones who
Oh,
are
that-
more equipped to
Uh-huh,
pick them up than we are.
got it.
So we are supposed to call 911 if we see videos and stuff in the street, I guess, so.
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's no harm in it.
And just for the record, because people are online, would you just tell us that we have a new captain and who he-
Oh, yes, so we did get a new commanding officer, his name is Captain Fisher. He used to be, and then he did get promoted to captain, he was up in the 17th for a while. Then he went to Midtown North, and now he's back here as our commanding officer. He's still getting used to everything, but he is.
But he knows this neighborhood.
Yes, and he actually does have good ideas, so he does want to put more cops, especially down over where this unfortunate event took place on John Street, also in Battery Park with the vendors, because we know that's a big, complaint we're getting. And also with Canal Street, you know, again, we just have to get the personnel, so we are still.
And Canal Street's about the illegal.
Not the legal street vending, yes, yeah,
The bags,
yeah, bags, watches, whatever's out there.
right?
That's kind of better.
The counterfeit. huh?
That's kind of dramatically better though.
Right.
Yeah, it's like 12 years ago, it was
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
Or
They were
even
in front of
like
Century 21 with their
last
sheets
year,
out and, yeah,
it's better. I think
so that's good, that's good.
Well,
Any-
the people are out there, individually. You see them in Chinatown all over the place. They got the little sheets with their inventory. And I don't know where they keep the merchandise, but they go to the
In
tourist.
that car that they
Yeah.
entice you into,
Yeah, and-
remember? Remember the people that got in the
that-
back of the truck?
That's accurate, yeah,
Yeah.
they do keep the
I
products.
I was on, I think it was Mulberry Street or Mott Street and these obvious tourists from out of town were talking and I said to them, you know, these bags are not real. And they said, yeah, we know. So,
For the appeal.
Oh, yeah, that they're counters. All right, so any other questions? Oh, go, just go. Okay.
Fahrenheit, 34 degrees.
Bikes
On the sidewalks, yes, we are, yeah, and it's hard to enforce that in a sense because, you know,
This thing is lit up.
our department, like, they don't really want us chasing after, like we will, but we have to look at the risk we're seeing, or, you know, like, because we can tell the guy stop
He's trying to talk.
and he'll just keep going. And
Okay.
especially on the sidewalk though, it's very difficult to get them. But our traffic officers are out there, they are writing summonses for that,
Oh,
I'm
the
sorry, I
traffic
missed
officer?
it. Summonses board.
for riding bicycles on the sidewalks.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
But why isn't it announced on the, like,
Because I don't
news?
think it's happening. Cause I don't think it's.
I don't think it's happening as like an initiative. He's saying if they see.
No, like our local precinct,
Oh.
is like,
We all
so,
have to write the mayor and get him to do something.
yeah, like,
If there
our guys are, they will, if they see it, they'll
Oh,
try to. go
great,
down.
thank you.
there were licenses in this trap, the cameras.
Whole other ballgame, and I agree with you, but just, people just need to, because I don't think people really understand the rules. You're not supposed to ride on this highway.
You're supposed to
No,
follow
they-
the flow of traffic,
I don't
like the
think they
bicycle, you
do.
can go down
People
one-way
who don't
street.
have driver's licenses don't know the rules, which is why they should be.
I think
licensed.
people
People
know.
know that you're not supposed to be on an electric bike.
No.
Yeah, not
A
just
regular
electric,
bike.
like a regular,
Regular, the electric's more dangerous.
unless you're
I say
18 years
that.
old and under.
And
On home.
so don't like it and don't appreciate it, and you know this, like,
Yeah.
think about, I question if they're enforcing it, cause I live on the block where a lot of that
Love
happens.
So we'll call on you in a minute.
And so I'm across the street from the Four Seasons, so
Okay.
there's oftentimes traffic cops right there for a variety of reasons. Also, constant people on the sidewalks delivering,
Mhm.
and they're not doing anything, so just want to call that out to further enforce.
No, yeah, I will definitely let our
Talking
traffic
about
guys know.
different things though.
No, he said traffic guys are supposed to be giving tickets.
Right, but he's not got the precinct traffic.
I'm talking about like the guys who are directing traffic, they can't, they,
No, not those people, the people giving out tickets, right?
Do they have any enforcement authority, the ones who direct the traffic?
There are-
I believe there's different, like, so one could be assigned just to write parking summonses, like, they only write parking summonses, they don't write like actual, like, moving summonses.
So you're talking about different traffic?
Yeah, I'm talking
Okay.
like, I'm talking
That's
about
what
like
you.
our
Right,
local,
but even within the traffic cops.
But our
there are two
local
different-
precinct.
yeah, so like our local,
Right.
so working the
They
first
see.
three,
And our
yeah.
limited.
But a lot of-
Police officers.
You know, one of the
Yes,
problems though is around the World Trade Center, there are a lot of security details. And so you may not know what the security detail. John, is that John?
Yeah, that's me. I'll let you know I'm here. I like to answer a question.
Sure. Go for it.
Yes, is there any statistics on enforcement of these bicycles? I've been riding a bicycle for 49 years and I stopped riding because I've been getting run over by these motorbikes, and I'll call some of them motorcycles. And I noticed there's no enforcement. A year ago, my son was riding a bike and he was stopped and got a ticket because he didn't stop at a red light. So is there any statistics that we are not enforcing the law with these motorbikes going the long way on the Hudson River, on the bike paths? And older people like me have been knocked down. And when you get older, you could break a bone. So what happened is I stopped riding a bike. So is there any statistics that shows me that users stop giving out tickets on these situations?
I personally don't have them on me. If you come to the next community council meeting, I believe our captain will have them for you.
Well, actually, he's supposed to come here next month. in
Oh, is he?
January,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So hopefully he will be.
I'll remind him to bring.
Jerry
some
Stilton,
statistics
yeah.
for that, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I brought this up at the community council meeting and I brought it up repeatedly and we have been in touch with every agency under the sun, from the deputy mayor for operations office, to the chief public realm officer, to the port authority, et cetera. The area around your precinct is absolutely unpassable on foot, by car, by bike during the rush hours. And, you guys going back to the precinct will put the lights and sirens on to push your way through. But there's no enforcement really whatsoever to any of the boxes being blocked, the crosswalks being blocked.
Do you mean because of the traffic from the Holland Tunnel?
It's the traffic, but it's the lack of management. We fought very hard to get a traffic officer back at the first exit of the Holland Tunnel. So at least it's not complete mayhem there.
Right.
But at Beach and Erickson Place where your precinct is, it's always mayhem. At a Huber, Hudson's always mayhem.
Right.
And Nick's response was like, well, we're sitting at 2. Yes, but you guys actually have the ability to rein some of it in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, look, like it's
Never going away.
right, it's never gonna go
Yeah.
away. It's, I do get, because like I said, we get stuck in it too, and now especially like when we have to go to emergency, that's when we have to activate our lights and go around it. I'll talk to our XO because he's in charge of traffic and I believe he knows the issue.
He does, he knows everybody knows the issue, you know?
Right.
It's just, how do we get some basic order back? You know, not perfection, but, yeah, the real issue is, and part of why we, were able to get the traffic officer back was that there were multiple instances where the fire department showed up for something on the eastern side of Hudson, on Vestry or later, one of those blocks, and they couldn't get over, and so they parked on the western side and walked over.
Really?
And those were instances that did not require heavy equipment, whatever the call was. But, it's a really bad time to get a heart attack at 5 o'clock in the afternoon over there. Not saying that sort of tongue in cheek, but it's like, someone's gonna die. Like, it's never gonna go away, but how do we get it so that emergency vehicles can pass through, that,
I don't have the answer for that. Like, that's, with the traffic, I don't know, Holland Tunnel has been
Well,
there
that's-
more than I've been alive, so I don't know.
but that's but that's sort of the feedback that we would like.
And what's happened with DOT?
And Pinkard's been out there, they're gonna do maybe in 2025 at Beach, they're working maybe some sort of street improvement, but, it's been 3 years of talking about it, basically. This type of stuff, not that specifically.
If I could add to that, not only is that, I was gonna bring it up, but not only does that exist over there by the Holland Tunnel, but similar things happen down by, Pearl Street and the Brooklyn Bridge, Frankfurt Street, where the traffic converges and people are trying to get into the Brooklyn Bridge and trying to go on the FDR Drive. And that often, and you have large buses that are turning from Frankfurt Street into Pearl Street. And it seems like, what I mentioned is, do the traffic agents have any authority? They don't, some do, but I'm talking that jams up in the morning. I mean, that's also recently when dignitaries come from the heliport, that just shuts everything down. And the other place where the congestion bottlenecks is over at the, what used to be known as the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, and then it was the Ucari Tunnel. And that, the same thing happens when people come up West Street and come around or come out of the South Street Viaduct. And often people are cutting over and trying to get into the Battery Tunnel, Ucari Tunnel, and also and it's a little frustrating. You see the traffic agents sort of just standing there where they could just sort of direct the traffic, let people through and move the traffic along. And everybody's trying to go all different which ways and no one's doing anything to clear it up. And those are the three.
What's predated you, the traffic will be here long after we're all gone. What I'm talking about more so is when you guys are pushing your way through the traffic to get back to the precinct. If they're blocking the crossover, they're blocking the box, like, why can't you tell them to move on, to keep moving or to issue a summons or, if you see it.
I mean, we could, but again, like, I'm not every, if the cop is driving there with the lights on, I don't know if he's going to an emergency, I don't know where he's going, but if he sees it, like, he should write the summons. I can't, I'm not a supervisor, I'm just a cop, so I
Right.
can't account for, the action that he's doing.
No, for sure. What I'm saying, and I'm not expecting to, what I'm saying is, if you do debrief from one of these meetings or anything like that, the messaging is that the community wants more accountability.
Otherwise,
Next month,
yeah, so
when
we'll,
Captain Fisher comes.
Sure.
Yeah.
I have a slight change of topic. Do we have bicycle cops in New York City?
so,
Like cops on bicycles, not like cops that like,
yeah, we do,
okay.
we do. I just, again, the topic, it's more for the warmer months
Mhm.
that they will be deployed, but it all depends on, what we're using them for, essentially, like, because I know over the summer, they do have one where they'll ride up the bike path starting over West Street. I don't know how far they go up, and I don't know if it's just for presence purposes or enforcement. I don't know.
They're
That's
in
all.
full recognizable uniform.
Oh, yeah. They have, it's like a polo, it says NYPD on the back, they wear the helmet, their shorts, they're all strapped in, like their regular uniform. But I just don't know what their assignment and what their direction is for that day.
I just feel like every other city I've been in, there's been bicycle cops, especially like in Austin, we have bike cops on the hike and bike trail. Making sure that everything's okay, and then, and even on the mountain biking trails and stuff, so it just, you know, just in case something happens, those aren't blind spots.
No, yeah, they're definitely out there.
Okay.
Justine.
Oh, Justine?
Just a quick thing to, I think that the riding bicycles, the bicycle cops have been in the parks mostly, right? They're not necessarily on the streets, but the Hudson Park, the Greenway is a park. Hudson River Park is a park. Central Park is a park. So it would be a sensible thing to have them assigned to there. And that would be a real interaction between the people on the electric bikes and everything else and pedestrians and non-electric bikes. But that's just my 2 cents.
Thanks for your 2 cents. Anybody else? No, no, no. Yeah, yeah, done. Thank you.
You're welcome. I said, I'll leave my card here.
Thank you.
And then, so if anybody has any questions or,
And just remind if you can, Captain
I'll remind them, don't worry.
Fisher, we
He's-
hope to see him in
He
January.
will, he's still getting used to everything, but
Yeah.
he'll be here next week.
Great. Have a lovely holiday.
You too.
Stay safe out
Happy
there.
holidays, everyone. Happy New Year.
You
I'll be out there.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're flipping, the Borough Police Jail is going to the end because 401.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go to DDC. We have the Greenwich Street project and we have the Greenwich Street project because of you, Brandon. That's because of you, the Greenwich Street project. So you have to
Say.
your say. And the VC Street project is you and me. So hi, did you just stop? What are you here for?
My name's Phil Stafford. I'm the community liaison on the Greenwich Street project. I have a short slideshow back
Okay.
bringing up, with that, I'm pulling it up. I got long down. Good. I will say, we haven't been in here in a while, so it's a refresher. Greenwich Street is full roadway reconstruction on Greenwich from Barclay to Murray Street. The way the job is phased, we're doing all of the work and restoration from Barclay to Murray Street first. That's to lessen the overall construction timeline because BNY Mellon Bank, or now BNY Bank, has their private project that will follow ours, security bollards. So, now I'll wait for the slide. I have a flash drive, 2 seconds. I got it.
And so Mellon, they aren't doing anything at the moment, so you guys.
I think they're still working on the plaza on West and Murray. I'm not sure if they've finished. And yeah, right now they're holding off on the bollards because I don't think it makes sense for them to do the work. And they have some other work they're gonna incorporate, like waterproofing. I'm not speaking for them, of course. I think they want to come to a meeting soon, but we're in very close coordination with them. And
Okay, great.
our contractors are
Okay.
working something out. You know?
So you're, all right.
Okay, yeah, so, so we're doing everything. We're doing city capital work, which is water main, sewer work, all the restoration at the end. Some additional water main due to lead joints. That's in the second phase of the job on Murray, or on Greenwich between Murray and Chambers. And that bottom line there, capital and interference joint utility work, that's kind of the big ticket. That encompasses all of the Con Edison work, all of the Empire City subway, which is pretty much Verizon work. And right now, we have a few spots we're working on Greenwich Street. So, projected completion date as of today is now November 6th, 2026. Our original completion date would have been November this year. Then we had a first time extension to summer 2025. Now we're November 26th, which is quite, we feel, realistic at the moment. So that puts us at about, thank you. That puts us about 60% time elapsed. That should be time elapsed. Work is like 45%. You see on the next slide.
Could you just tell us why the delay?
The delay, in the most simple terms, is the scope of the electrical work has been, it's way more electrical work than we anticipated.
And what is the electrical work exactly?
So basically, we've encountered, just due to the layout of the job and certain field conditions, that Con Edison has multiple feeder systems. That's like their high voltage line. So we're gonna end up replacing 4 of those. 2 on Greenwich, 1 on Murray, 1 on Barclay Street. So that's all in progress. And our line of work, when you hear feeder, it's a very large electrical job. So as of right now, we're installing the empty duct from manhole to manhole. And it will pull a new cable and then we can go on the list to have that energized so they can do an outage.
So the feeders are going into the buildings.
Yeah, they go into a manhole and then they reduce down to
No,
whatever.
but I mean, it feeds the electricity.
Yeah, exactly. Because World Trade Center 7, the first floor in the basement is a substation for Con Edison. So there's just like a massive amount of electricity in the ground there. So you see the top, we're about 67 or 62% time elapsed. That's our new schedule. We're about 43% done. That's $8.5 million. The percent complete is all based on the money we've paid out, so it always lags a little bit behind. I think we can say we're half done. Work-wise, because of the electric work, we have to work multiple locations at once, otherwise we run into the wall. And the worst thing for us would be a contractor with nothing to do, because then they're gonna go do a job in Staten Island, do this. So we kept them there for 3 years, which is good. So at Greenwich and Barclay Street, we're rewiring, Con Ed's gonna start rewiring something and putting it back into the new manhole. Greenwich and Park Place, we're coming south from around Park Place, we're installing the new 20-inch water main. All of the utilities in the way have to go at the same time. So we move the utilities, put the water main in, backfill, and try to give as much street back as we can. And the north side of Greenwich and Murray Street is similar to what we're doing at Greenwich and Barclay, it's just a little less along in the picture. We're moving all the utilities and exploring things. So if we get up from Greenwich Street, Barclay to Murray, we have August 2026, and then from Greenwich up to Chambers Street, that's the final date, November 2026. And please hop in with any questions as we go here. I don't have a ton of slides. I'll just flip to what we're doing here.
Do you hear music? Okay, sorry, here we go.
So
There's music, we have a soundtrack. I don't know.
Anyway.
it's not my slides, but maybe next time. I don't hear.
I do.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this is just kind of an overview of what we're doing. That's Barclay and Greenwich. This is about how it looks now. You see where it says primary electric cables, all those wires on the kind of temporary tree. Well, Con Ed's gonna put all those back into that new manhole. When they do that, we'll be able to backfill up to that area. Should be a couple months of rewiring work.
Wasn't there a collapsed manhole on Greenwich and, not Barclay, what's the other street?
Murray Street,
Murray
yeah.
Street,
Murray Street between Greenwich and West Broadway, we had to rebuild a Con Ed manhole. We're waiting for an outage so they can put all the wiring back inside of it. We've done everything we can there. The outage,
So it's really Con Ed that's holding it? And should-
right there is definitely Con Edison.
They always are the ones.
We need an outage. We would love to close that because it's actually outside the original scope of the job and we know it's a headache. But
Yeah.
what's taking so long is a lot of this work is in the contract, some of it's not. You can see kind of the bottom of the photo, all the telecommunications ducts have all been rotted by the steam, so all that has to be replaced. There's new gas main, as every utility in the city besides a sewer.
You mentioned lead joints.
Yes.
Is this on the water pipes?
Yeah, from the existing water main on Greenwich Street, from Murray Street, Chambers Street, we found a lead joint. And initially, we weren't gonna replace that, but it's quite old anyway, so we're just gonna, DP added it to the contract.
Is it something that can leach into the water?
It potentially could, I don't think there's ever been any case of that happening in New York, but if we find it, we just replace it. Also, it's like probably 40 or 50 years old, so,
Just a question, how would you find it unless you tested for it?
well, they can just look at it and see some of the,
You can also look online, the city has a thing that'll tell you whether your building or your block has lead pipes. You can actually get your water tested for free in the city too.
yeah, they'll send you a free in the mail kit, they turn it around very quickly, it just goes to Queens, I think. So
Interesting.
we'll replace that, that won't be,
Yeah, it's making formula with.
won't delay the job that much.
Make sure.
I just have a couple more slides. Similar stuff. This is Greenwich and Murray Street kind of facing southwest. Big problem we've encountered is Con Edison, other facilities, everything's very shallow. So street is like 3 inches of asphalt, 6 inches of concrete. So we have stuff that falls within what we call the road base. So if we run into any of that, it has to go lower. In the future, someone's just gonna saw right through it if they have to do a repair or something like that. So this is really work in progress kind of stuff, moving stuff, putting a new water main in. Of course, you have to dig only by shovel, takes a long time. And we know we're a huge inconvenience, so we do try to kind of use the job site in helpful ways. We've had several site visits from high schools, so they come out, we give them the whole tour.
They studying.
These students were, I think they're general students, this is from Carpenter High School. And recently we had a class from Washington Heights, and that was enjoyable. Their teacher made all of them ask a question, and it was great. It was very cold, but it was great. And we've had some different city agencies kind of come and look at the job, kind of from like the Office of Management and Budget side. So that's everything I have. What we're doing, basically Barclay and Greenwich, we're tying that into Greenwich and Park. We're coming south there, put the water main in. We have more work on the northwest corner, and that'll be our final bump out. Because when we're done, the curb in front of BNY Mellon, at the corners will be extended into the street and in the middle. So the parking will be in between that. So you won't have to look out past a car. Great pedestrian safety improvement. A lot of work to move the curb 20 feet into the street.
So I noticed a couple of months ago when I was walking by in front of Target,
Yes.
but across the street on the Mellon side.
Okay.
There were quite a few private cars parked in a gated in area.
Yeah, we shouldn't, contractor shouldn't have any private vehicles parked on site. We told them that. They do have a couple, we do have a couple commercial vehicles that look like a regular car. Those can be parked on site. There's,
Do they have commercial plates, if that's the case?
yeah, that's the case. It just looks like a pickup truck, but it's like branded and has a DOT number. So we have 2 or 3 of those.
But they looked like they were just cars.
Yeah, we
We'll
told
look
them
at
no.
those next time.
We told them no private vehicles. We tell the food vendors don't park in the crosswalk. BNY, the bank has security offices. We try to keep everything open. That's how it's written. The contractor has to park on the street. It's difficult. We tell them to do it. It's a lot of agency parking, but I'll look tomorrow and tell them.
Which is nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a headache for everyone.
There's also cars on Barclay. And like now they've like pouring it off so that there's like parking for cars there. Few of my issues are around the fact that like we haven't been notified and there's been so many changes that are going on. We didn't know about, like, we knew that Murray was coming up and now y'all started opening that up. And y'all haven't got anywhere close to closing this. So you're extending the inconvenience of Greenwich Street. And so you're kind of screwing over the public to benefit yourselves. And that's very frustrating. Y'all also, we talked about this months ago, where y'all asked, oh, we were thinking about taking some space off of between like, I don't know, I think that's West Broadway maybe, and Greenwich. And we were like, well, BMCC is right there. Y'all were like, oh, well, look at it. Now all of Barclay is just effed with all of your stuff, both for storage. Huh?
Yeah, on the north
Yeah.
side. We've had storage on the north side of Barclay for quite a while. We did the south side and flipped it. We can only store things on one side of the street.
It's on both sides of Greenwich.
It can be on both sides of Greenwich. We can't be on the north and south side of the street. So we have stuff.
But we, like, y'all never told us that y'all were doing that. Y'all mentioned that, like, you possibly, and we were like, oh, no, because then you're setting everybody else up, and then you're gonna make it really bad for people trying to travel through, and then a month later, now all of that is taken over.
So we have,
So all of Barclay is taken over without any consideration, it doesn't seem like, for the public.
well, we have storage permits from the DOT.
So it's storage, but then there's also, again, right, it might be even, no, it's not on this side.
You want me to-
On
Barclay?
Barclay.
Past Greenwich.
Across, yes, from like where, like, 100.
Yeah, the
Barclay is.
residential,
Yeah.
by Washington Street, a little,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Y'all taking that over as well. I also am frustrated because they have totally renovated DC 37 in the time that y'all have barely gotten anything done. And so that's also frustrating.
So
Because y'all keep just kind of, again, screwing up the public and then just saying, oh, well, it's Con Ed's fault. You can't just keep saying it's Con Ed. And we've actually come in and said, okay, well, we'll talk to Con Ed to help you. Do we need to do that more? Let us know.
yeah, so no, I agree with your points. It's construction, it's an inconvenience. We have had storage on Barclay Street. We started on
And it's
Barclay
not
Street.
just an inconvenience, it's a danger.
So why we're spread out is if we run into, we're keeping this job moving for the public. If we run into the wall and we have to wait for Con Edison and we tell the contractor, don't go open another area, then we have no work done. We would be from 40% done to 20% done. I know it's an inconvenience. We don't want to work like
It's
this.
not,
either.
it's not just an inconvenience, it's a danger.
Yeah, DDC takes site safety very seriously. We haven't had any accidents on the site. We try to manage the
I
traffic
have
the
a
best we can.
question for you. Next to Fitterman Hall on Greenwich Street.
Yes,
Have you had anybody fall or hurt an ankle or anything?
nothing that I've
I'll
heard
tell
of.
you, when I was walking, and I've got an issue,
Mhm.
and I was walking, you know, and it's like this big, and it was raining, and people were coming from Seven,
Crossing Barclay,
crossing,
Greenwich.
Barclay.
like in the little park.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crossing the little park, and I'm trying to go this way, and I'm teetering, and it was really a little scary.
But it was slick or just tight?
It was tight and slick.
Yeah,
And it's very tight,
So I-
especially when the weather's bad.
we can take a look at that. I mean, everything is 5 foot. We have it to DOT regulations. If it's slick, the contractor, every so often, they bring hot asphalt and redo all of the.
But I mean, you know, it was, so you have a fence up,
Mhm.
and then you have a little bit of sidewalk, and then you have Fitterman. So we were in that little bit of
Oh, like a
walkway.
corner, kind of
Well-
awkward.
It was the whole length of Fitterman Hall, from Barclay to
Park or
Murray. Park Place.
Park Place.
Park Place.
Park Place, okay. From the little park to the front of Fitterman Hall. And it was just really, and I'm gonna, again, I don't walk straight, so I'm teetering.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah.
And so I can take a look at that specifically. And to your point, yeah, we know it's an inconvenience and beyond that, you could say. But
And a danger,
to keep the job moving, we have to work multiple sites.
but you also could have informed us that you were starting to work on Murray, and you didn't. The other part that I really don't like about this, is why I bring Murray up, is you literally are putting us out in the street to walk down, in the most literal way, to go to that Target.
The target though. So-
And then it rarely has, I've rarely seen, honestly, anybody holding a flag out there anymore, especially in that area. And then not just going to the Target, but then crossing the street to go to the Whole Foods and the bank,
I've stopped trying to go to Chase.
because it's bad.
Yes, for a while, I agree with you.
Not just an inconvenience, it's a danger.
For
And I'm a young person that's relatively healthy.
Let's hear Lance.
No, because y'all said, this is Brendan's, so when well, how are y'all, right, how are y'all gonna fix this? How are you gonna not make it a danger? How and when are you gonna move that back so I don't have to walk in the middle of the street and fight with cars
sure.
as a healthy young person? And then you add in people with any kind of disability, if they're older.
That's
We
a
have-
disability,
we do have-
mobility issue.
We do have 4 flaggers on the site every day. They have all their training, everything. So you can cross Greenwich. There's a crosswalk is open on Greenwich, crossing Greenwich from by Target, the little bit where it was. You
There
can
was
also.
not a flagger when I was, what time is the
It
flagger?
should be.
What time are they
It should
there?
be.
Yeah, what time?
What
Yeah,
time are
we
they
work
there?
like 7 to 3:30, they take off, they
That's
take
when the
lunch,
flaggers are there?
coffee breaks.
But I gotta tell you that after 3:30, first of all, when I went across from, because I was walking from Chambers to come home, so I had to go all the way to the other side of the World Trade Center. There was not a flagger in front of Target. It was about 7 o'clock at night, and there was traffic, and it was dark, and it was,
Yeah, we only have flaggers there during work hours.
but it's
That's,
kind of,
that's how they.
dangerous. And if it's going to
what
be
they
a
have
long
in the contract.
situation.
So the good news, to kind of answer your question too, something like Barclay, like if I go back to my picture here, when we were in, anyway, it goes back. When we can backfill up to the manhole, then we can give a lot of the street back. So any chance we can backfill, we will give the street back. It is just taking a lot of time. And I don't want to, we're not trying to blame
Do
Con Ed.
you want us to call Con Ed or write Con Ed? or can do
We would
something?
always,
You
anything
meet with, you guys meet with it every week, correct?
weekly with the Public Improvement Group. We have a great relationship with Con Ed. It's not a communication issue. It's the specialty crews that we need on site.
So Pat, this is Frankie Lau from DDC. How are you?
Hi, Frankie.
Hi. So,
Yes.
so just to harp back on a couple of things that you guys brought up. You know, we'll reevaluate your concerns about the flaggers. We'll take a look at it right away. You know, and maybe we can improve on that. The hours in terms of the flagging, that's, you know, the flaggers are there during the working hours, which is 7 to 3:30. We can look at increasing flaggers for helping people more. Phil, we'll look at that tomorrow.
I'm sorry, Frankie, you know why? Because during rush hour, that is a very jam-packed site during rush, and rush hour is way after you
Yeah.
stop working. It's when people are leaving the bank and leaving seven,
until 6.
leaving, it should be at least until 6.
Especially right now, it's just getting dark.
Dark, it's dark early, exactly. And that's what happened to me. It was dark, it was raining, and it was about 7 o'clock, and it was lots of people, and,
It gets quite busy, and everyone's kind of dispersing at once.
so we really do need, Frankie, if you can, we need flags.
We will look at it. You know, we don't have provisions like that in the contract, but we will look at options and we'll get back to you.
And it's only temporary, as Phil said, it's till you fill, you can backfill, you know, so it's not.
No, that's on the other side. That's not where
So,
you're talking
so
about.
again, I just wanted to reiterate, you know, a lot of our work, our contractor is trying very hard to keep, to stay working, right? We're at the point that we're pretty much at the slave of the utilities. We're waiting for specialty crews, to come on site so we could finish portions of the work, so we could give back, like such as Murray by the Chipotle, that first block by Barkley, and a lot of that is all tied into Con Edison work. You know, our contractor has made it a point that he doesn't want to, you know, some other contractors would just say, okay, I can't work, they'll just walk away, or they'll just sit there. You know, they want to keep working and be productive. Unfortunately, we're at the mercy of the utility companies, right? Where the Con Edison, we have issues with Con Edison, we have issues with Empire City Subway, that all require specialty crews. And we're working with our utility partners. We have a weekly meeting on site. This is the only job in Manhattan that we have a weekly meeting on site to coordinate
That's what I was
all the
gonna ask
utility
you.
issues.
Do you want us, can we come to one of these meetings where we can talk to Con Ed also?
I mean, I would have to speak to them.
Yeah, would
if
you
they're
please?
we can have a conversation with them. Well, we can always set up something with their intergovernmental group. I think they used to provide an intergovernmental person that used to come to this meeting when Work Street was the big topic, right, back then. So that's something that we could explore. But again, you know, our hands are tied. We're trying to keep working. We're trying not to keep a dormant site. So we're trying to, you know, you might see that we're jumping from one location to another, but we're just trying to keep working. So we're not wasting taxpayer dollars and not sitting around and waiting.
Right.
You
Okay,
know,
so I have
and we would appreciate any help that you guys could provide, and we'll speak to our utility partners about that, and then maybe again anything that could speed up some of these specialty crews that could help us finish portions of this work, so we could give back anything that we can would be great.
The other thing is, can we get, so it was pointed out that, I don't know that we got any notification when you started to work on Barclay Street.
On
Murray Street. Get all the streets confused, on Murray Street. So can we get some sort of, you know, weekly update? It doesn't have to be a lot, it could be two sentences that we're doing this.
Are you guys on the weekly, because they do have a weekly CCL update.
Yeah, I can add whoever wants it. I've been sending it out. Just a few bullet points and I type a paragraph. Anytime we have. anytime
Send it to
it's-
Zach.
No one else, it should go to Zach.
And then he'll send it out.
I send it to Zach.
Like he's
I get
out
it. Yeah, I'm on it, I get it.
Yeah, I can expand that.
So you can add that information to the.
Yeah, it's a weekly thing. Anything.
And then aren't y'all
Yeah.
like continuing
So
down there?
So Phil, just please add the community board to your weekly distribution list, please.
Yeah, I have them on there and I can add anyone that's not.
Okay, thank you.
Your question, Brendan. Yes, but we're restoring all of Greenwich from Barclay to Murray first. So we won't be stretched all the way up to Chambers. And also from Murray to Chambers, it should be significantly less work, just because the street, the alignment is very different.
The last thing I'll say, and then I'll shut up for real, is with the flaggers, you said you don't know if it's in the contract, but y'all added all kinds of stuff to the contract. And I
Nope, we
imagine
did not.
that adding some flaggers is
Yeah,
not as costly as all this additional work that's been added to the contract. So I don't want to hear that as an excuse.
There's no I just want to be clear. There is no language. I mean, again, we could explore possibilities, but as of right now, our contract calls for flaggers during working hours, and that's what it's in the stipulations of the permits as well.
Okay, so let's talk about it. Can we have a talk chat? Because again, it's about danger.
Right, we understand your concerns, and we'll look at this internally, and we'll speak to the contractor and try to try to address a lot of your concerns.
Thank you.
I have two questions. One is there a possibility for maybe temporary lighting if a flagger is too expensive? You know.
That's a city DOT thing. We're not, city DOT is responsible for, I guess, the streetlights and whatnot. So we need to get their approval for any
Could
additionals
you
that
speak
need
to
to get added.
DOT or should staff speak to DOT or is that something you can do in tandem? How do we do it?
I mean, what kind of, are you talking about like a additional pole? Are you talking
Just
about?
like a temporary light.
Temporary lighting so that walkway is not dark
Not
at 5
the
o'clock.
walkway, but also crossing to,
Yeah.
what's Murray?
Murray.
Across Murray, the street is all uneven, and it's dark there, and if you can't see and you're not walking you can't walk straight anyway. I was so afraid, and I didn't have my cane, I was so afraid I was gonna like fall and break my leg or something.
My other question is, everybody seems to have sacrificed, but the agency that parks there, can they lose their parking in the meantime? And it's a little known, I can't remember which one it is, but it's like a little known agency. And when the street was open, they rarely use the parking. Instead, cops would pull in there because it'd be empty. I don't even know why they have spaces, honestly. And I don't remember what agency it is, but it's like a little.
Do you know what agency
thing.
works there?
We moved, at the beginning, we moved several Office of Management
Yeah.
budget, and basically the DOT told us keep it, tell us what you need to move and we'll relocate it. So we had to keep it 1-to-1. Some of the stuff that was City Hall parking and they moved it closer to City Hall, which made sense. And I think the only thing that will come back when our job is done is the temporarily relocated OMB parking will be right there because their building is right.
Well, maybe they didn't need to relocate, maybe they needed to lose it like the public lost, right, the pedestrians lost the ability to
And
walk down the
I
block.
know, I know none of us have any power, but there's so
But we
many,
can, but we can work together to talk to DOT maybe.
and there's, you could do anything about, I know it's a citywide issue, but placard abuse is, I walk down
Oh,
the street, not any of the city agencies that park there, because they have the right to park there if they're working in the building, but
Oh, no, it's okay.
it's,
So they should lose the right for the temporary, because we've lost our rights, right,
Yeah.
as pedestrians?
we did
Private
relocate it,
citizens?
it is relocated like onto Park Place, and we didn't give them any, they probably lost spots if anything, but we kept it close, and, it's hard to find places to put people.
Understandable.
But the lighting, we can look into that.
It's hard to find it. It's not putting people, sorry, it's putting cars.
Yes.
And that's a whole other issue. I want to go on.
So I wanna go on, go
Okay,
ahead.
I just want to say, one of the things to be mindful of is the worst congestion in traffic occurs when, in the morning, when the PS 234 is, the kids are arriving, and you have the school buses stopping and then continuing down Greenwich Street, and that get jammed into that area, and the whole thing backs up, and the parents and caregivers are trying to cross with the kids, and it's just a mess in the morning, and it's also a similar mess at afternoon. They let out at around 3, and I don't know, people have after-school programs, and a lot of.
And also on that block is Bob's, so.
Yeah, up the street is Manhattan Youth.
Manhattan,
Yeah, so it's a very, very congested mess with everybody funneling into that zone right down by Barclay Street and Murray Street.
There's a lot of people also walking to get to that one train, the new entrance at the PAC, and other people are trying to get over to the E and the A, and it's
Yeah,
really a
and plus
wonderful track.
Plus you have the kids, you have the students from BMCC, you have the students from Stuyvesant, everybody is converging in that area, and it's like a real bottleneck in the funnel with everybody going.
Which is
over.
another reason why we need flaggers there later.
Yeah, so like Frankie said, we can follow up. We want to have a safe site. We understand construction is, we've been here a long time. The scope has grown. We're really trying to speed it up. It should obviously be safe while we're working. Faster we can do the job, we can give you this feedback. Pushing Con Ed, you can push Con Ed, anyone can push Con Ed. And it's not a communication issue. We talk to them. It's crew availability.
So the ask is, hey, Con Ed, can you put or can you prioritize your specialty teams to get in?
Absolutely. And I can follow up with Zach. We
So
have a
again-
list of points of
And
things
so
we
see
need.
if we can meet, if we can have a meeting.
Yeah, I mean,
Or you guys are meeting with Con
if you
Ed.
could reach, if you want to ask Emilio, I think that would be the person from Con Ed, who's kind of their intergovernmental liaison, Emilio Gonzalez. We could try to do
We
something
know.
like that.
don't we?
Like I missed a question somewhere, but yeah, we're not here to blame Con Ed, but the electric
Oh, that's
scope,
okay, because Con Ed has always been the culprit throughout all these years.
the scope of the electric work, it's a joint bid job. So initially, everyone has funding, Con Ed probably had like 20%. I think when we're done, it'll be closer to 40 or 50.
You know, we've been having
Yeah.
this committee for like 20 years, and Con Ed has always been the delaying factor in any of the jobs that we've had. John Street, I mean, all
Yeah,
the jobs.
they have a lot of stuff in the ground, to be fair,
Yeah.
you know, they,
So if we
keep the
can
city
meet
running.
with them, they used to come to this meeting,
Mhm.
but
I
they
think
stopped coming.
that would be helpful, everyone in the same room. And
When John retired.
Yeah, yeah. So let's see what we can do. Thank you for your time.
Sure.
We're gonna move on to, yes, we've got it off the chest. We'll see what we can do now. Okay?
Don't just put it on me. I'm saying it for the community. I'm saying it because it is legitimately a danger.
So now,
And he-
we're gonna
he's
go to
right.
VC Street, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I go by there all the time.
Are you doing the VC Street project?
Prohibition.
Oh, the jail. Who's doing the VC Street project?
I'm doing this street. Hello.
Yes.
Who's it?
Hi, this is Bashar. I'm the engineer for Vesey Street project.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I was supposed to be with you in the room, but I have been feeling under the weather lately, and I wanted to keep everybody safe, so I'm just joining you virtually tonight.
So remember when we did, Jack and I did the walk with you guys
Yes,
a month or so ago? So doesn't look like anything has happened.
that's correct. So after we had our field visit, Con Edison identified two electrical default, which they are exactly exposed wires. And when they find this discovery, they secure the site and they default it and give it a tag number, and no one is allowed to enter the trench unless this default is cleared. Con Edison crew showed up a couple of times trying to identify these cables, but they couldn't do it that successfully. So right now we are waiting for another specialty crew to come spear it and take an action, either default it or clear the default. So I just want to go ahead.
What does the default mean?
Expose electrical wires inside the trench.
So
So it
So
says,
default, so a default is pretty much when they have a conduit like a wire and the wrapping around it, it's been compromised and there's bare cable showing up.
that's when we looking into that little hole, that little space where Con Ed, where it was also close to the surface, and Con Ed was supposed to come and so they could dig it down deeper. Is that same spot?
Yes, the same spot where they
Sure.
addressing some issues with the steam. So for us as a DDC project, we installed the water main, we installed the catch basins and the cleanup manhole, and we started doing the granite curb when we find a very shallow electrical utilities that has to be relocated. And once Con Edison started working on a place to run these conduits, they discovered some steam issues, and they had to address these issues on the spot. And they started doing more work to remove the asbestos from the steam encasement. And while they were working on that, they found the exposed wires. So that's where we
So
had
now-
to stop, and that was identified end of October. So we've been waiting for that default for more than a month and a half.
Yeah, because that's when we went on the walk, about
What, Bessie and Broadway?
that's in between Broadway and
In
Church.
church.
Yeah.
Electrical wires have just been exposed for.
Well, you know,
So-
in a hole. It's
In a hole, we were excavating for the steam, and it was laying next to the steam.
And they had some plates. So what do we think? So first of all, the timeline now has moved. Any idea when Con Ed can get this finished? What, where are we?
So we were third on their priority list to get this addressed in order for our project to continue. And per the last conversation, right now we are on the first of the list, and we should get a Con Edison crew within 2 weeks. But please do not mark my words. This is the information we got from Con Edison. And as Philip mentioned before me, we are waiting for Con Edison crew's availability to get our work progressing.
Bashir, so a question, is this the same Con Ed team that we also need to go to Greenwich Street? No, I mean,
For spearing, yes, we need
several things in Con Ed, but we also need a line speared, which is just the way.
So they need to go to Grand Street also.
Yes.
So now, this may sound crazy, but after they finish doing, because they're gonna be in this area, after they finish doing BC, can they shoot over to Greenwich Street to do the work?
No, it doesn't work. They have a priority list, and our place, well, whatever project's placed on that list it's up to them. So we don't even know where we are on, in terms of, Bechdor's project is third on the list. I don't even know where we are on the list. We've not even been given clear indication of where we are on that list. So that's again, a lot of the specialty work, especially the electrical work, it's all based on priority list, and we're not, we could be 5th, we could be 10th, and they're a citywide crew, so it all depends where their crews are allocated.
Now, would you shoot us a note when they actually show up, so at least we know they started the work?
Sure. I believe Laura, our CCL, she keeps sending all the updates, and she mentions everything in the weekly letter and the weekly bulletin. I will make sure you receive a notification. I just want to mention on Vestry.
So, I'm probably getting it, but I just want to make sure she highlights that they showed up and they're actually starting the work on DC Street, so we know that that's happening.
Hi, Pat. This is Laura. Hi, Pat. This is Laura. How are you?
Okay.
Good, good. So I'll make sure that once Con Edison starts work, I'll shoot you guys an email directly, just to let you know.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you. So at least we know it started. So we can start
Absolutely.
the clock again.
I'll put it on
So
my
now,
notes.
because you're waiting, you have no idea what the new completion date is. Right?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said now because we're in a holding pattern for Con Ed, you have no idea when the new completion date is.
Well, go ahead.
That's correct, because as I mentioned, we finished most of DDC work on the street. It's a one block job, so we are waiting. Nothing can be done until this is resolved by Con Edison. So we do not have any available work in order to push the project. So we are on a standstill on the project.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? We'll just wait until we hear from you about when Con Ed has shown up. And are there any other questions?
They hand up here.
Legit. Dushyant, I see.
Yeah, Pat, this is Dushyant. Just adding to what Bashir and Frankie said, with the default, they are not allowed to work within like 20 feet of the default. And also, as far as I know, as of now, the Con Edition probably will show up on 21st. That is this Saturday. That's the latest information I have. So hopefully they will show up, and probably I hope for the resolving the default issue this week.
Okay, I hope they do. And anyway, everybody, well, we have a question here.
Slightly off topic, but in the realm. I want to say maybe a year ago at this point, DDC came to probably Landmarks, not this one, about work that was going to be done with, sort of complex curb cuts on Greenwich farther north, in the northern section of Tribeca. It's been quite some time since that meeting. Is there any update on timing or anything?
Did everybody hear the question?
Stump them.
Yeah.
They're typing in the background. Sounds like
No, it's the same.
So I just want to confirm, we're talking about Greenwich Street project, the granite curb there.
No, I want to say it was, Greenwich, no, farther north, Greenwich and DeBrosis, Greenwich and Vestry, farther north.
It would be very helpful to get like a project ID or a project number, so we know exactly which location are we talking about.
Do you have a project in northern Tribeca?
We just have Greenwich and we had West Broadway, but West Broadway was completed.
So maybe
I don't think we have any project. We already finished the Vestry Street at the Hudson Street. intersection. I don't think any project.
No, it's not us, but maybe it was a presentation about complex corners and historic districts or something like that.
No, it was very specific. It was specific intersections that it was DDC specifically. Brendan was nodding his head. He seemed to remember.
That sounds familiar.
Hi, I'm Charmaine Zhao from DDC, so I'm from Intergov unit, so I can take down your information.
Okay, great.
Search, when I go back.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, somebody's trying to talk. We can't hear who it is.
John, he's just needs probably go on mute.
John? John, are you trying to say something?
No, I think we're okay. Cause you've been on the whole time. Yeah.
Okay, so if there are questions, as we're leaving it right now, so you're gonna get back to us about whether we can meet with Con Ed when you guys meet with Con Ed to talk about Greenwich Street.
If not, I will suggest a side meeting
Right.
with whoever needs to be there.
Terrific. You're gonna see
Probably.
about the flaggers and temporary lighting,
Flaggers, temporary lighting.
especially at the corners of Murray and
Greenwich.
Granite, but what's the other going south?
Yeah, just
Murray,
our whole area.
Okay.
Yeah, all those.
along Cinnamon.
Along Greenwich from Murray to Park Place.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
And then, you'll let us know, VC when Con Ed shows up, if they come on December.
Yeah, that's your team will do that. And I'll follow up on the private parking. We shouldn't see any of that. I'll look
And
at
thank you.
tomorrow.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
All right.
Everybody, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're on. Rich was. John, what are you trying to say? We can't hear you.
He's not saying anything.
It's lighting up.
Yeah. It's just sound. Yeah.
Okay.
Zach, can you mute him?
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
that was my,
Oh, that was your phone?
my phone.
So who's
Who's
on?
going first? You guys have it. It was playing for me.
Oh,
We go first.
That's why it was so low.
Okay.
I was like, there's music.
It was.
Sorry, yeah, you can grab that.
So, our turn. Hi, everyone. My name is Xiaoming Zhao, Outreach Coordinator at BDC. Some of my team members right now join virtually because we have another meeting in person. So we have to split. We want to give everybody an update on the Manhattan Jail dismantle. Next.
Oh, you got it right there.
Okay. This is today's agenda. We are going to talk about what we heard from the community, give update on dismantle, share community engagement and resource. And then we will have an introduction and report from Excel. Excel is the company doing independent environmental monitoring for dismantle. Then we will open up a question.
Sorry. Go ahead.
This is what we heard for the community request for updates on dismantle milestones. We will talk about in slide 5. Request for independent environmental monitoring. We will talk about in slide 14. Now I pass to Rich from Gramercy to talk about dismantle update.
Oh, Rich is on.
Yeah, let me move from. Okay, you're over.
Hi, Rich.
I was locked out. How are you?
Well, hope you're well.
Hello, everybody.
Great.
So to update you all on the progress so far with regards to our scope of work here, we are at the point now, as you can see, the North Tower wall that was adjacent to Chung Pak is now down. We are doing the final work at the ground level. Chung Pak's commercial side waterproofing is being finalized right now. That'll be ongoing through the end of the year. The Chung Pak, I'm sorry, the South Tower is now gone. There is one little few bays left of the Sallyport in the southwest corner, which will come down late this year, early next year, with regards to after the close up of the 3rd and 12th floor openings into the courthouse are completed. And we are targeting completion in early 25.
Okay, early 25.
So here you can see photos of the site. On the left side, you see where the South Tower used to be, and now you see the courthouse. And on the right is the Chung Pak building. The left side has been finished and waterproofed, and the residential side, it has been waterproofed. The final coat of color will be going on shortly. Attached, this, like you guys are familiar, has all the locations of the AQS monitors, sound and noise and vibration. They surround the site, as well as the additional monitors that are in Chung Pak, strictly for the block wall, not for any structural components. Here are photos of the existing air noise quality monitors that you see around the site. Typically, I don't know if Lauren's on, this is where she talks about the reports that are updated to the community, what they look like and what to expect. And I apologize, I have a terrible echo on my end. I don't know if you guys do as well.
No, we don't hear.
I hear it.
Little bit.
It's probably because somebody needs to go on mute.
So the on-site monitors that we have are checked daily. The technicians are on site several days a week to make sure they're all up and running. And the CCL and now Excel as well is able to log in and check the data remotely.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Okay, air quality monitoring. We experienced 9 instances in October and November where the dust concentration was above the threshold. The PM10 did not exceed construction-related construction-related levels of PM10 did not surpass the daily PEL for the time-weighted averages. The noise monitoring, there are 25 instances of exceedance, and these were mostly all related to the chopping of the North Tower wall adjacent to Chung Pak. Once these were triggered, we added sound blankets and the angles and efforts of our chopping. The vibration monitors, there were 5 in October and 6 in November, all related to the CMU wall on the Chung Pak building. Once again, the non-structural wall that we were monitoring. This way we could tell if the chopping or anything would affect that wall. So this was utilized by us to monitor our techniques.
Now we talk about community engagement resource. So everybody know that there's a BBJ website, and then we send out weekly look ahead. Nikita Singh is the CCL for this project. So here are her hours, if people want to stop by, walk in, or call her. Next one, we want to introduce Nora Dodge from Excel to talk about independent environmental monitoring and then report.
Well, let's stop for 1 second. Does anyone have any questions for Rich? I do.
The numbers for the air, for the vibration, for the noise seem substantially higher than any presentation we've seen so far. Why is that?
Rich? You there? Rich?
Not sure if she's there.
Sorry, I was muted. What was the, I'm sorry, I couldn't get through. What was the question?
So the air quality monitoring, the noise monitoring, the vibration monitoring, in previous times when you've come to this meeting, you frequently have said, oh, there's nothing, or, you know, it was a truck backfiring or a dumpster or something, you know, and this is all of a sudden, you know, more than several instances. What do you attribute that difference to?
So we did work immediately adjacent to the Chung Pak building, which had a poorly constructed CMU backup wall. And there were instances of times where the monitors we put in the commercial spaces either A, were triggered by pre-existing dust in the room, or B, the dust from our chopping migrated through missing blocks in the Chung Pak wall. And once the alarms went off, we stopped. We had to go foam or fill up the openings in the wall and then clean up and resume our work. So we put extra monitors in Chung Pak to monitor that poor condition, and that's when there were instances, as well as the chopping noise levels as well.
Oh, the chopping noise levels. All right, so it was chopping of the last wall, the last bit of wall that was making the majority of that noise?
Correct. So we had the vibration monitors on once again, the CMU wall of Chung Pak, which is a non-structural wall, was used as infill between the slabs and between the columns. And the mortar was adhered in several locations to our wall. So that breaking that bound is what's caused some of those vibrations, which is what we were monitoring. So if we ever came across it, we could adjust to deal with that. And then the big open gaps in their wall caused some of the dust to go through. And as we uncovered them, we had to seal them, clean up, and keep going.
Got it. And this is just anecdotal, it's not particularly scientific, but you know, I've been by there on foot several times, and you know, you can see just dust, you know, truck tire dust coming from the site on the street. I mean, is it being hosed, or that, you know, doesn't seem like it.
Yes, the truck's tires are being washed, the street's being hosed, and the street's being swept if anything does migrate. And we clean up anything that does come out, but we keep it to a bare minimum.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I mean, I've seen it though.
Seen dust.
Yeah.
So how often do you hose and sweep?
They're out there continuously all day. If a truck leaves, they're on top of it.
And well, that's what I wanted to hear that. So then the other thing is, and when you say the completion will be early 2025, is that like January or more like March or?
The buildings are gone, right? Demolition is now complete, other than a few miscellaneous bays by the Sally Port, right? We've begun demobilizing our equipment, and we are mostly, for the most part, working on just doing the waterproofing of the Chung Pak building, their CMU block wall, as well as the patching of the courthouse.
Okay.
But for all intents and purposes, heavy construction is done, and it's been done.
And so now that when the site is bare, I'm sorry, because maybe you've told us before, are you going to concrete over the gravel, or you're just leaving it?
My contract ends the way you see it now, with the berming that's in place.
Okay.
On the previous slide.
Sorry, go ahead.
You said something about them being able to, they could check it with frequency. Was this not the case previously? Like this whole slide, is this a new thing?
Oh, no, only the number 3 is new. But CCL can check the data in real time too.
Excel can now check it as well, because they just came on board.
Okay, but the building's gone now, so they just came on board right when demolition was ending.
It's their object.
Is that a true statement? Okay. That's all.
Do you want me to ask you one?
Yeah, can you go to the next slide? So I just want to make sure I understand this. I assume work takes place on the site 8 hours a day. So if I'm looking at the air quality monitoring, is it correct to say basically the particulate matter is above the threshold for the 8 hours you're working, but then the 16 hours you're not working, you just average that in and say it's safe? Do I understand that correctly?
No, you're not. It is a time weighted average. It is not a 24-hour weighted average. It is an 8-hour weighted average.
So this is can you explain the weighted aspect so I can understand it better?
Weighted, it means it is averaged over a period of time.
Do you pick arbitrarily 8 hours?
No, it's standards that we follow.
And what are those?
8-hour weighted averages.
Okay, no, but I mean, is it 8 hours that you're on site, or is it any 8 hours, like 4 hours you're on site and 4 hours you're not on site?
No, they're continual. So if I start at noon, it ends at 8. If you look at the data from 2 to 10, if you look at the data from 3 to 7, it's an 8-hour window.
So every time you look at every time you look at, I'm trying to.
It's
think of the
intervals
words.
of 8
Yeah,
hours.
the information, you're looking at 8-hour intervals is what you're saying.
They correspond.
So, but you do say it's a 24-hour average. Am I correct with that?
For dust, it is 24 hours. For sound, it is 8.
I'm only talking about dust.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so should I restate my original question? My
It
original
is,
question, yeah, is.
it's a 24-hour window. That is correct.
Okay, so to restate my question, for 8 hours, the 8 hours you're working on the site, it exceeds, it's above the threshold. It's not good for people. But then you can average in the 16 hours where there's no work on the site and say that it's fine. Does that kind of sum it up?
Not particularly, because over that 24-hour period is how it is determined if it is or is not an exceedance.
But she's saying if out of the 16 hours, everything is fine.
There's no work.
Right, that's going to exceed the 8 hours where things were not fine. And,
So your report would say things are not, things are fine, because there's more time when it's fine than
then when it
when
wasn't
it's not
fine,
fine.
but when it wasn't fine, it really wasn't fine.
If it's weighted, then is it weighted?
Is that right,
No,
Jill?
The weighted is because they put in 20, it's a 20. Yes, okay,
Okay.
yes.
It's just too late.
Rich?
How many of the instances of loud noise were required to trigger the blankets? You said there were 25. Did you wait until, okay, there's been 25 booms, now let's get the blankets? Or like, how does that work?
No, we address them immediately. There's also instantaneous readings. We have all that data when we're working. We also get calls from Chung Pak residents that they are experiencing noise. We go check it out. We see what's occurring in their location and change our methods.
So how do we get to 25 instances if it's addressed as soon as it happens?
I can't erase the data. It's still an instance.
No, okay, no. So you have an exceedance of noise and you stop work and you figure out why it exceeded, right? And then you figure out that you need blankets. So then you put the blankets on. So the next day you come to work and because you know you exceeded it the previous day, don't you keep the blankets on so that you don't exceed it this new day? Therefore, you wouldn't get another exceedance. Do you understand what I'm saying?
We'd have to dig much deeper into all of the reports. That's when you get the monthly report where it talk about each one. I don't have that on me right now, but we can provide that to you. I believe we usually do.
Okay, but you understand what we're saying. If you figured out that you needed blankets, then you would have used the blankets every day, so you would have had 25 exceedances.
Two different sources of the noise, though.
That's a very, we're oversimplifying an ever-changing condition on that site.
Okay, so then the instances of exceedance were not just one thing, it was several things that it may cause the exceedance of noise.
Correct. The wall, the blocks being adhered, a hole being in the wall that wasn't expected to be there. All different things could attribute to that.
Right. Hi, this is Laura Dodge.
An open
from
window, a
South.
closed window.
Can
Yeah,
you
we're
hear
gonna
me
get
okay?
it now.
Yeah, I just wanted to add in just to clarify in following all of the work and seeing what the daily reactions are. The exceedances occur because they're moving, as they're chopping, they're moving along the wall and they do leave the blankets and then they add more things. They fill in the holes.
Gotcha. Thank you, Laura. All right, so, hi, Laura,
Hi.
and welcome.
Oh, thank you. So it's as Rich is trying to explain, it's like a moving target. I mean, as the work is progressing, they're stopping when they get the exceedance, and then they're acting to keep that particular location under control with respect to noise. If they're changing they're adjusting the type of equipment they're using, they're adjusting the angle, and then they're also doing things to try to dampen.
Right, so then they move to the next location and they have an exceeding, so then they have to add more blankets. I got it.
Exactly. So it's a moving target, but as they've indicated, the good news is that the work along that wall, other than just that first level work that they're doing in the basement area, the work along the wall is complete. So that's,
So you've been on board about a month now?
we started the first week in November, so it's been about 6 weeks. And as Rich indicated, we have access to the Vibra Analytics website, and we monitor it daily. We have a finite work scope, so we've come up with a routine to check it on a regular schedule all day long. And then at the end of the day, we're now getting a one-page summary from Gramercy that indicates any exceedances or the maximum readings for each unit, each monitoring station for the day. And if there are any exceedances of any criteria, whether it's noise, vibration, or dust, they're explaining the rationale for what happened so that we can understand it, because we're not on site, all day long, every day. We don't have that type of work scope. But we're getting those reports now daily, which enables us to look at them ahead of the reports that are issued by the project team. So we're seeing on a regular daily basis the actual data and then the reports that are issued daily by Gramercy to us so that we understand what's happening. And then we're giving them feedback as the day goes on. If we see something that a monitor that might be offline because of a battery issue or something, we're asking them about it and they're responding back saying what's going on. And if we have recommendations, we're providing them to them. And I didn't mean to interrupt your presentation, Rich. I just wanted to clarify that one point.
Yeah, Rich, I hope it's okay. We were coming to you anyway, Laura, to kind of.
None whatsoever.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so this is, it's a fluid process, and I think that, as exceedances do occur, it was primarily, since I've been involved from the first week in November, it's primarily been, due to the chopping and trying to get down that north tower wall along Chung Pak. There's been a few other occasional issues with the courthouse infill for the 3rd and 12th floors. Those have been few and far between.
Sorry to interrupt. And this is what I was gonna ask. Can you just kind of step back? Because we feel like launch into who you are, or like we
Oh, sure.
you.
Absolutely.
We know who you are.
Yes, no problem.
And what
So,
your
so
responsibilities are as veterans.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I know.
So, yeah, that's okay. So my name is Laura Dodge. I'm with Excel Environmental Resources. We're the independent community monitor retained by the project to essentially check in on and monitor the environmental data, meaning the vibration, the noise, and the dust monitoring that's going on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. When we first got involved in early November, we're coming in at a late stage in the project, so it's a bit challenging to, come in this far into it, but we did get access right away to the historic documents. I reviewed all of them, the existing work plans and approvals, and then we had a kickoff meeting at the site on November 13th. Prior to that, my staff did a site visit on November 6th. So we've been on site 4 times, November 6th initially, November 13th, the kickoff meeting where I was there with the project team from AECOM Hill, DEC, the elected officials and representatives, other community representatives, for what's going on there. That was
Something happened, Laura, you're breaking up. We've lost you. Did you change location?
No, I'm sitting at my desk. No, it's weird. It's the mute button is going off and on, off and on, off and on. I'm not sure why. Anyway, so the kickoff meeting included, CB1 representatives as well as the project team, DDC, elected officials, other community representatives. And then we also went back out on December 2nd and December 6th, specifically in response to complaints that had been brought forward from on the 2nd of December from the Charles B. Wang Clinic, and then also on the 6th from the attorney's office in Chung Pak, Ed Rakutia, And
Yeah.
we actually did an independent inspection of both of those facilities in response to the complaints. So our role is really to, again, to monitor the ongoing progress of the work, look at the best management procedures being used, monitor the data and provide input and recommendations if we feel that it's appropriate to do so. And we're looking at this from the perspective of, being on the project so late, we really can't do anything about the past, obviously, but we can provide, our insights as to, how perhaps to interpret the findings and help the community understand, the data and address concerns if there are any that still remain, because again, we can't do anything about what occurred previously to our being involved, but we are happy to help and provide any answers to any questions the community may have about the project.
So is there anything that you found, I'm sorry, Lauren. So anything
Go
that you found that you're alarmed about?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Have you found anything that you're truly alarmed about?
We already issued one report, that should be on the Rikers Island website, the BBJ website. And in that report, we laid out, that our observations are that, the best management practices are being implemented. There obviously is some concern still expressed by various community members regarding noise. And, as Rich Peterson expressed, they have been responding and stopping work when noise levels are above the threshold and acting to try to mitigate those situations. It's the communication to the folks who are, most affected in the Chumpack building, giving them advance notice of when work is going to be taking place. That could be very loud. I know that since I've been involved, I know that those notifications have been made prior to that work. I don't know about, I can't speak to before, but I think the efforts to provide those notices is important. I think the bigger, probably the most helpful recommendation I think that I have is the real-time monitoring to better understand what the perimeter data mean. And I think when residents, like the individual who commented about observing signs of visible dust, to have a real-time instrument on site where you can actually get a real-time reading. In my experience as ICM, because I've worked on other projects in this capacity, both in New Jersey and in other cities, in New Jersey, New York, and other cities, it's very helpful to have real-time data to determine whether or not what looks to be visible dust is in fact dust, and if in fact it is over an acceptable threshold. And so I think that was one of the recommendations that I've made to the team, that, in order to determine whether or not something that somebody visually observes is actually an issue or not, without having actual real-time handheld instrumentation to check out that particular observation, you can't, satisfy someone who's asking that question unless you have the data. And that was that was one of the key recommendations that I've made. But again, the project is almost over at this point. It's something I think for the project team to consider, and perhaps for DDC to consider. And it's applicable to, virtually any project like this where there's work going on in close proximity to residents and to what we would consider to be sensitive receptors. That in my world as an environmental scientist, anyone that could be potentially affected by the work would be, a resident, especially any seniors or people with existing health issues. If they're in the vicinity of the site in close proximity, these are the folks who will have the highest level of concern. So having real-time data from the site above and beyond the community air monitoring program, which tends to include perimeter monitoring, having it for the middle of the site or for where the work is going on in the source area helps you better understand and explain to the community how the mitigation measures you're using, the best management practices, how those are being effective at controlling the generation of airborne particulates or the generation of noise. So that's sort of the idea behind, the use of best management practices is you want to try to prevent the airborne particulates at the source. And I think from my own observations at the site, it seems that the misting and the keeping the site wet and the use of the soil stabilizer for the crushed concrete pile, has been effective. But, I can't really answer some of the questions about whether people see visible dust or not when they're looking down on the site. I can only look at the perimeter monitors and opine on what those monitors have indicated. Which generally speaking has not been over the threshold. So,
Or we don't have that report that you mentioned.
it was posted by the AECOM Hill folks or DDC, the CCL, on the BBJ website back in November.
Okay, so we have our genius here, tech genius has found it, so she'll help us to get that out to anyone who needs to have it.
Oh, Pat, I just want to chime in, as Nora mentioned, because we were demo like slab near the lawyer's office, and when we got the noise complaint from the lawyer's office, our CCL can check the real-time data. And then we went to the office and then we stopped the project and then we evaluated, then came back with an advance notice. Like, for example, this Tuesday, Monday, we are going to work from 9 to 3. It will be noisy, so we sent out like an advance notice to them to.
What was this?
It was this week, I think, yes.
So
the last demo is almost done.
Justin's brother, okay.
Yeah.
So did he report back that?
So far, we haven't, yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, our CCL has been working very closely with tenants at Twin Park.
Okay, great.
When they update these reports to the website, is somebody able to just send us one? Because we wouldn't know when you're deciding to post something to the website. We just would have to find it accidentally and we're like looking intermittently. Rather, if somebody's already uploading it, can you just send it to Zach?
Yeah, we can send it.
But this report that Laura's talking about, Laura, did you post this report or?
We posted to the workspace that was set up for us, but I did provide a copy to Alice and Tammy via email.
Okay, so I need to be on that list and Zach needs to be on that list.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have a question for you.
So, sort of the same question before, but I guess I want your perspective on it, Laura.
Sure.
We had these meetings for, months and months, and almost every single one, talking about from they started demolishing it from the top down, every single time the exceedances that came up were virtually non-existent, or occasionally it was very quickly explained away. It's just interesting to me that here we are at the end, with an independent monitor coming on, and all of a sudden there are a couple dozen exceedances. I know you came on late, but in looking at the historical data that you've had access to, is there anything like how do you reconcile these things?
I really can't unfortunately speak to the historic, history, like going back to the beginning of the project, because it's just, that would be something well beyond my scope right now. But I think that what has been occurring recently, with respect to, it seems very confined to primarily the work along the North Tower wall adjacent to Chung Pak, because of how difficult it is to remove the remnants of that North Tower wall from the building. I mean, you're literally right on the building. So I think, and the construction of that wall being basically concrete block, the concrete masonry, this unit, the CMU is that acronym they're using in their monthly reports, but it's essentially, concrete block. So you've got holes in it that are just part of the block construction. It makes it really difficult, I think, to get that remnant wall off without having vibration occasionally and without having some noise. And then the dust seems to be migrating through the holes in the concrete block, as Rich was indicating, because of the condition of that wall. But again, this is not a load-bearing wall. So I think that may be one of the reasons, is because the work had been concentrated in that area as opposed to in the, but I can't really speak to anything that occurred prior to my involvement, unfortunately. It would be, I mean, the database is exhaustive. It's a huge database. We would have to go, I mean, this is 24-hour monitoring, for 3 different parameters. So, and there were eight units, so what's that?
I'm just talking about, a monthly report, because we obviously didn't have access to the 24-hour. We got a tidbit at the end, each month.
And I think it's important for everyone in the room to understand the Chung Pak wall was not built properly to code. And that was part of the project delay, was trying to get that wall down with CMU that's not properly mortared amongst itself and improperly mortared to the North Tower wall with holes and gaps throughout. So that caused a lot of these exceedances that you are seeing.
Yeah, and I think, from our involvement from the time we first got on board, it seems like the emphasis and the focus has been on, the North Tower wall, that gym wall, because, that was a tedious thing to have to do and try to get that down. So, I mean, it's good that that's over, and I think it's a relief for the community, I'm sure, and for the project team as well, that it's done.
So I'll just comment, and I think this is what you're alluding to, but I'm just going to say to put it on public record, which is, it is very suspect that all those numbers seem to jump up when we finally got like an independent monitor. I think it's also interesting that we asked for months to be able to get more active data as soon as possible. It was pushed back at the beginning, and then it finally got updated. And then one of the things that Laura has actually said tonight was, oh, it's really good to have that active data. Well, no kidding, because that's why we wanted it. And so, like, again, we've been given this side eye to, the people that are reporting on this the entire time. And now, at the end of this project, we're finding out that, like, what we asked for and what our expectations are coming to fruition, which is the scary part of this. I also think it's very funny that we're like, oh no, all this noise that's happening just now is happening now that we're right over the top of the wall, which is understandable. But y'all don't think that all this noise and dirt, etc., was happening when you're taking down huge buildings? But come on. Yeah. So I just need to throw that comment in so that we have it on public record and that we have an understanding. And also, so that, unfortunately, something happened in the future and we got to go back and look at these tapes, we have it.
Just want to let everybody know that DDC tried to procure independent monitor, but first round, we did not have a qualified person, and second round, nobody replied, and then that's why it take a while to get someone.
Laura wasn't approached right from the beginning?
We sent out a list, yes.
Because said she had been approached when we asked for her.
Yeah, it took.
Yeah, we didn't receive the request for proposal right off the bat. There was some issue with our being notified of its availability. And once we were notified, we responded as quickly as we could, which was, I think, within a week of our receiving it. And then it just, there's the contracting process to get on board. But
month after month, we were being told the city still had to decide if they were going to give us a monitor. We weren't told that you were actively looking for one because we could have offered some suggestions a lot sooner.
Well, it was offered from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But we were being told that we don't know if we can give you that or not yet. We're still working on it. We're still talking to the mayor's office and all this stuff. This is totally brand new information that you're sharing with us tonight.
Well, I think they agreed, the city agreed at some point over the summer for an air monitor, and then they said they were putting out RFP. And then once the community board got involved, push it out to a bigger list, that's when we got Laura involved, and that's when she got pulled on. So that was the board getting.
So we had the expectation.
Try MWBE round, that is a fast fastest way to get a vendor on board, but it took DDC 3 rounds.
They have to put it out for public, but we specifically wanted Laura. Laura, I have a question for you, and you may not know this or be able to answer it.
Sure.
When construction starts, are you going to be, has anyone approached you to stay on the project?
No, not to date. I mean, I know that it's been expressed, that, by CB1 that that CB1 is interested in having us involved in the next phase, but we have not yet, had any discussions about that formally with anybody beyond, just listening to the request. I haven't been actively involved in the discussion yet.
And Rich, where are we? I mean, when you finally finish and you close the gate and you walk away, what's the next step? Do we have a design yet? I don't know what's going on.
So they would do substantial completion, Ramsey will do the sign maintenance, and then the facility design build is still in procurement process. So we hope to have somebody on board by spring this.
Which would know who's doing the reconstruction.
It's only
Right, so design, you'll know when?
spring next.
Okay.
So would Laura be there through that period? Because I was initially told, we were initially told next month.
For dismantle only.
So when part of 2025, when Rich finishes, Laura's done all.
I need to check the scope.
Okay.
But Nora's contract is only for dismantle.
Right.
Procurement happened.
So there's echo. Somebody's talking, you have to mute yourself.
Laura, just when you're not talking, if you could mute, thanks.
Yeah, got it.
So when construction begins again, is it like an RFP that has to go out again to the public again? Because there clearly is a trust with Laura and there's a desire to work with her again, but is it that simple where we would just like make that request, or again, does it have to go out?
Money.
I will take everyone's request back to DDC to discuss.
But,
Oh, okay.
I mean, technically though, do you have to put the RFP out there to the public?
Because this contract is for dismantle, so for the
No,
new.
when we start construction,
You-
contractors.
Yeah, so I would take your request back to DDC.
Yeah, so we would like Laura to remain on this.
Just to be clear, there's no independent monitor contract or budgeting for construction. So at this point,
It's only for deconstruction.
it's only for this point.
Yeah.
So it's not in the budget.
It's not that we
to
can't
have
get it, it's just that it's not.
It's not in the budget, there is no budget.
Line item.
I was trying to get to.
But it can be.
Was there one for this?
There was not, and it was advocated for, and then it happened at the end. Maybe Laura, you could talk about the difference between, what monitoring looks like for a deconstruction project versus what a construction project would look like. Like what would an independent monitor be monitoring for, and what things should we be looking for and paying attention to as they build up?
Are there more slides? And if no, can we take them?
Yes, next one.
So I think the first part of the project for vertical construction still will involve some removal of what's out there now. I mean, they still have to remove the foundation slab, and Rich Peterson, I think, or whoever can correct me if I'm wrong, but right now the basement level for the north and south tower is, they're going to crack it up a bit. I'm sure they've already done that, so it doesn't retain water, but that concrete still has to be removed. So there is still some of that to do in the beginning. And then beyond that, it really depends upon what the work plans for the vertical construction specify. Whether there's, I would imagine that noise and dust monitoring is still going to be part of the construction project up to a certain point. But we'd have to see what the work scope for the vertical construction design build contractor requires.
Okay, so anything else? So you got a question? Okay, and then we'll get.
How does this process work? Is a developer selected and then a design is created? Or is the design created by DDC and then the developer selected?
So we are waiting, to get a facility design builder to get on board by spring next year.
So there's an RFP after that. Can we see responses to that?
We already have a parent selector,
Oh,
but we have a.
This one
in the
selected or the
negotiation,
parent, yeah.
But we will have
Well,
a.
the reality is,
discussed by
let me
spring
ask
next
you,
year.
is there any money to build this deal? You're not answering. So either you don't know or you can't say.
So, can I just to finish, the building facilitator that's been selected, but it's still in the negotiation process, so that name should be public. Are we aware of who's been selected?
No, but you haven't
No,
selected any.
because.
No, she said that.
Yeah, because the design build, is you need to submit, become like a pre-qualified list, and then you have a two final.
Yeah.
And there's currently a parent one, but we will know by spring next year.
Right, so they've got it narrowed down.
Yeah.
So all of that a matter of public record?
That's my question. So
So-
can we know
Well,
who it's narrowed down?
So how many people submitted designs? How many companies?
So for the, I remember there's two, and then now there's a parent selector one, but we will, it's in
So you
the,
only had 2 designs?
yeah, because the project is very big, and then in this market, it's very like limited company who can qualify for this work.
That's a very narrow.
How many people are building city jails?
Yeah, could we just,
mean, at
just,
least
so,
4.
so since this is all public information, can you tell us who the 2 that submitted?
In my mind right now, I forgot, but we can go
Send
back
it
to
to
the.
us.
Send this to us later?
Because there's a two-step process. Owner company need to submit for pre-qualification.
Yeah.
After pre-qualification, there's a selection and narrow down to 2.
Right, yeah, so how do you will send the names, I mean, we would like to know, I think, who looks like they're gonna be building this project.
Well, so out of the 2, has one been selected? Not yet.
There's a parent, but they're still in the negotiation. with
Okay,
the-
so there's
Yes.
one that the city likes, but they're negotiating money.
Yes, but we want to know by spring next.
So if it doesn't work out with that, then we're gonna go to the other one?
I don't know the process, but
Okay.
this is the process. The company can submit for pre-qualification list. After pre-qualification, there's evaluation, then narrow down to 2.
Go ahead.
That's
The way you
just
forgot-
really bizarre to me because prisons
No,
and
I see
jails
that.
are such a big business. And so like, what are the parameters to be able to pre-qualify? Does it have to be a city-based agency who can submit or
I
state?
can get back to you because I'm not like specialized in this process.
That seems,
But I know in this field, it's very narrow company, because you need a lot of specialization.
yes, that I get, but I'm just, building prisons is a thing in the United States. And I'm just surprised that
That there's only 2 companies, yeah, that's what I said.
qualified. in
Now,
this.
do you mean you had to pick 2 that,
So that's what I'm saying,
okay,
they like.
no,
they
Debbie,
have
wait a
to be
minute.
city-
So did you mean you had to pick 2 that are qualified to build in New York? Maybe that's it.
That's what I mean.
In New York City.
Because we already have facilities design builder for outer borough. Those 2 is for Manhattan.
But do the contractors have to be from Manhattan? They can be anywhere in the country, I would imagine, no?
They have to be licensed.
I need to go
Yeah.
back and.
That's what, yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Pat?
Yeah.
Pat, it's Vera.
Okay, so a big part of that
Hold on.
is,
Who's starting?
what's
Hi
that?
there.
A big part of that, though, is if there's only 2 companies, the negotiations are gonna be extremely limited, because the companies are aware you have nowhere else to go. So you gotta go to them. And so the price, that's why I agree with what she's saying. It doesn't make sense. The city will be boxing themselves in with no wiggle room to negotiate if they're only looking at 2 companies.
All right, well, let's go to Vera. Vera?
Yeah, no, I just want to, in this line of discussion, an article came out that Tudor Perini and HOK Architect has been basically selected to build this site. So I don't know what what you're saying, that it hasn't been selected. They have been
They are the
selected.
parent selector, it's not like they are finalists yet.
Yeah,
but
she's
they
saying that those two have been selected.
What's
Those
the
two are the
word?
only two that have.
Parent?
Parent selector.
A parent.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are the two companies that have submitted, and one of them is going to be you're saying the two different companies, right, Vera?
Yeah, it's come out that Tudor Perini and HOK Architects, who are going to build who are building the Brooklyn one right now, are the contractors that won the bid for Manhattan. So I'm not sure why she's saying that it is not set in stone yet. So I don't quite understand that. But
All right, Carolyn has their hand up.
but we definitely need to make sure that there's an independent monitor in place during the construction. Laura, I have a couple of questions for you. Your recommendations about, we still have some work to go, right? We still have a month and a half to go. And while you're there, I would like you to be as efficient as possible and be able to protect us as much as possible, the community's health, that is. So in terms of your recommendations to have real-time monitoring and handheld devices there for like to understand what's going on site, to correlate with things like when we see dust, or we have installed our own purple air monitors around which are showing exceedances that are unhealthy. What has been the response, and have they responded to you, and are they going to take up your recommendations?
We have had discussions about my recommendations, and AECOM Hill is on the call. I think, they're probably better to respond to that beyond the fact that we did discuss them and they're taking them into consideration. And I explained, and this is something that, maybe not everybody understands sort of and I want to just sort of go through this because this would have been helpful, I think, in the beginning of the project, because the camp monitoring is a requirement of the city to have these community air monitoring program sensors and monitoring stations. And that's what CAMP stands for, Community Air Monitoring Program. And that is in accordance with the work plans. And, that's spelled out in all the work plans and approved by the DDC. The interior of the site where the work is going on, in order to really understand the source of the dust that might be generated, the noise that might be generated, it's really helpful to have the real-time monitors, and that's one ways in which we've been able to historically on other projects make more sense out of what's happening in the work zone, and then compare that to the perimeter data, because the mitigation measures are really designed to prevent the generation of the dust at a certain level that's of concern. So these real-time monitors helps you understand what's being generated, which better helps you understand and have community members feel more at ease. So some of this but these kinds of discussions really do have to take place in the beginning of a project. It's hard when the work is already underway and you're trying to sort of look backwards. It's made it challenging, I think, for everybody. I kind of feel sometimes like I'm a bull in a china shop a little bit here in terms of I'm knocking up against people because, we're coming in trying to understand, all of the different things that are happening. And I think we're fully on board now, and we're fully understanding all the different machinations and the procedures and where everybody is headed with this. But to have this conversation early on is really helpful, because then you can get into a routine, and you can better explain things to the community in the event that there are some concerns. Now, having said all that, that doesn't mean, and I can't really speak what happened before our involvement as to whether or not there was anything that should have been done differently. I can't speak to that. I can only speak to what I'm seeing now. And I think that, the best management practices that are in place have been effective in terms of the dust generation. But I think that in order to explain that to the community members, it would have been helpful to have that on-site data too. So that when people think they see something, you can verify whether or not it is in fact dust, or if it's mist from the misting going on, or if it's wind that's really not carrying dust, those kinds of things. So I think that, it's a different mindset as to, an approach to something like this. And it's definitely very helpful for, interacting with the community and addressing concerns that can come up.
It sounds like what you're saying though is that without that real-time monitoring on site, we cannot definitively say for sure what damage has been done in terms of the health of the surrounding community during this construction process, right?
No, I'm not. No, I can't go that far, Vera, because there are there's perimeter monitors that are there that are monitoring for the PM10, and PM10, which is the particulates that are 10 microns or smaller, is what the OSHA federal standard is based on for, for this type of construction project. So PM10 monitoring captures everything from PM10 down to smaller levels, including PM 2.5. It's all included in the PM10 data. So the OSHA standard that is in place at the site is consistent with other construction projects in the city, and that is what has been monitored for. And those perimeter monitors are, occasionally showing an excursion, and from my review of the data, some of those excursions that tend to be over, in the one corner by the wall, maybe because of dust being trapped. From our observations since I've been involved is all I can really speak to. And in that respect, the best management practices that are being in place, the misting, the wetting, those best management practices are appropriate and they're being implemented. What I'm speaking to is really when people see something and they're not sure if it's of concern or not, without having the real-time data on site, it's hard for anybody to dispel the concern immediately and say, no, here, we have this on-site data, and see, it's not a concern. It doesn't mean that there wasn't a release or something unhealthy. It just makes it more difficult to have everybody feel comfortable. So, it's similar to what we did on 250 Water Street. We went above and beyond what the minimum requirements would be for perimeter monitoring to be able to monitor in the source area, in the work zone. Because if the work zone isn't elevated, then there's no way that anything can leave the site that would be of concern. So that's why having that information, it doesn't change the safety factor necessarily. It just changes your ability to communicate to the public and to the community that there isn't a problem. It just makes it a little bit more challenging. And so that's why, my recommendation is always to have the handheld monitors as that little added extra ability to gain the confidence that the work in the work zone and the mitigation that's being done is in fact effective. So it's sort of a different discussion. And again, it's difficult for me because I'm coming in late and I know that there was a lot of concern before we got involved, and I really can't speak to that because I wasn't involved and I don't have the data from those earlier, months and year plus. I can only speak to what I've observed now. And, our recommendations are, we had dialogue about them. I haven't heard back exactly as to what, the project team and the DDC wants to do. But I know that they've heard my recommendations loud and clear. And I've explained, just like I've explained to you, why that approach is so helpful.
It would be very helpful to have that real-time data, given that we are having readings on purple air monitors that we've set up. And those are on housing on Baxter Street, low-income housing, rent-stabilized housing. We set up purple air monitors as well, where DCTV is, where they move in and out debris. And we've been watching and the exceedances levels of you, and we have shown them to you as well too. And so we have concern, and we would need to see that real-time data to be able to correlate with those exceedance levels. It's 2.5 that they've been measuring. So,
Oh,
unhealthy.
Vera, CCL can check the real data. So if a community member have any concern, they can just call CCL and then she can check it. And also our workers, when they receive any data above threshold, they will stop and reevaluate, come out with.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm talking about Laura's recommendation to have handheld devices on site. That's what I'm talking about within the construction site. She has made that recommendation. And I want to know if you guys are going to implement that recommendation.
Is that a conversation that's happening now?
You mean for
So,
dismantle?
Yes, for the next month and a half or 2 months of the project.
It's
So-
almost done.
No, I get it, but Laura has recommended that they have handheld monitors so that she can have in the moment information. Is that going to be implemented? Are you all in discussion about implementing it? Or have you just ignored it and said, well, it's almost at the end, we're not gonna do that? Do you know?
Because there are not much going, only small left.
I think it's the third one.
Yeah.
So basically, you're not gonna do it.
Because the project is almost done by.
All right, so Jerry, you got your answer.
So are Laura's recommendations just to appease us? Like, should they just going into the air because we asked for it? And they don't really mean anything? Like,
Oh, we had a meeting and then we're taking her recommendation, and also discuss.
But she
But as
said-
you
so you
know,
want
the
to back
project is almost in.
Right, no, we get it, but so are you saying you are discussing her recommendation to have handheld monitors?
I can go back and discuss.
Would you please?
But so far, the project is almost done.
But it would have to be very, very quickly, because as you're saying, the project's almost done, and we need them like yesterday. Whenever she recommended them, anything that she recommends, it should be addressed immediately, because she's only there like 2 months. I mean, what are we?
And then she said that they haven't gotten back to her.
Right.
Am I correct? That they haven't gotten back to you, Laura? You're muted.
No, we've had active discussions about the recommendations. And my last communication, which was very recent, was that they're discussing it.
Okay, so that's the answer, Vera.
Yeah, no, the answer is not, it's not a good answer. I mean, I insist that the recommendations should be taken into account, given that we have actual data on the outside and we want to see the correlation of what's going on inside. So,
Well, it's kind of troubling, because it's like it defeats the purpose of Laura being there.
Yeah,
Like, what's the point of her being there and making recommendations
If there's not gonna be any really full dialogue about it. Let me just see, I'm sorry, ladies, let's stop this for 1 second. Caroline, you had your hand up. DDC.
Oh,
Caroline, are you on mute?
yeah, it's okay. We can keep going.
No, but did you wanna ask or say something or add to the discussion?
No, I just wanted to clarify, but I think Vera brought up the point about Tutor Perini and HOK.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, well, we've said our say and it's on record. And does anyone else have any other?
We got
Yes.
Jan.
Okay.
Jan.
Okay, I have a question. You said, I'm trying to understand the termination point of Laura's current contract and engagement. I think it's important, and because you keep pushing it, we're at the end now. What is completion? For example, there's piles of dust right now on that site that can at any point in time whip up to the air. As a matter of fact, I think it's happening a lot of times. Community monitors are showing that. So is your engagement over when the thing is over, or when that dust is actually shipped out of this community and not left alone, so it can be stirred up?
Rich, can you talk about, the milestone on the early 2025, what's left?
The work we have remaining is the closure of the 12th and 3rd floor on the courthouse and the flashing and painting of the Chung Pak building and the removal of the last few bays of the Sally Port adjacent to the courthouse once the granite enclosures are completed.
That did not answer my question about the dust that is left. There are piles of dust.
There's no more pile.
Well, I've seen the piles of dust there, and it's
Well,
stirred.
you know what, let's ask Laura. Laura, are there piles of debris that still have to be cleaned off the site?
My understanding is that that material's been used for supportive excavation in the basements for the north and south towers, Rich, right?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
That whether or not there's remaining concrete piles, my understanding is that that material has been used as supportive excavation for the north and south tower basement walls.
That is correct.
Well, are the piles of dust and piles of concrete the same thing?
I'm not
Yes.
aware of any piles of dust.
Yeah, I think likely what people are seeing, is the crushed concrete pile that was there previously. And that material was reused to support the basement walls on the north and south side.
So the completion project is when all that concrete dust is now put into a secure side of it.
So you don't see pile.
So they fill up the holes. So that's basically put in there.
Yeah.
That'll be.
Yeah.
And then like I asked earlier, was it going to be paved over and so it will be left as dirt.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So
we come back, then one goes over top of it.
Well, I'm sure, are you gonna pound the dirt down before you leave?
What goes over?
Nothing. It's just gonna be dirt, like when you see empty sites, empty dirt. Yeah. Empty sites are just dirt. Until someone comes and starts to excavate for the bottom, for the,
Put a jail there.
yeah, until they put piles in, something, so they start to build.
They're gonna put something in.
All right, so the last question what we had asked, and really you didn't say anything, is, so we know that there's two companies that have applied, one company's gonna be selected.
It's Harrison.
Right, so you're in the process of negotiating with them, negotiating price and details of design that you want to change. And then do you have a deadline on when you're going to know that company, you come to an agreement?
Spring 2025.
Okay. Around what time is spring?
Details I need to ask, but I know it's spring, it's coming.
Okay, but by spring 2025, which will have all, the Gramercy is gone, they're long gone. Because they'll be gone in the next month or two.
They will be they will do the site until the.
So they're just gonna switch?
Yeah, Rich, right? Gramercy will do site maintenance until we have a facility design builder coming, right?
Yes, we're in the process of negotiating that with the AECom Hill team and DDC now.
Okay, so then the site is just not gonna be left. Is somebody, you'll just.
No, it's not.
Okay, so that's interesting, the site will have, so in other words,
that'll be the first maintenance.
right, so they'll be able to maintain until the contractor to do construction.
What does that mean? That's my question.
In terms, what does
Maintenance mean?
Oh, yeah, what does
Rich.
maintenance mean? Rich?
I don't understand the question.
So you said you'll be there maintaining the site. Does that mean security? Does it mean any kind of?
It's lighting, it's fence maintenance, it is security, keeping the site safe and tidy.
Right. And it'll probably be rat abatement, right?
Yes, I believe that was a part of it. Like I said, we're in current negotiations, so I don't have the final list.
Also, you don't have the final details of what maintenance needs.
No, that's ongoing discussions now.
Okay, so somebody will get back to us and let us know. Okay, cool.
Yeah, they're still doing negotiation.
Sure. Oh, I'm sorry.
I live in between Little Italy and that site, and I always go down to City Hall and Bedford passing through there. And I don't recall that person who, all the time that there is a truck cleaning daily, whatever, okay? And also, I have taken a lot of pictures of those dust, mountain of dust.
A pile.
A pile, huge pile. But lately, of course, they have cleaned some, and because the wall is very high, I can't jump over to see it, okay? So maybe there's still some there. But I don't understand why is it so difficult for the community. We, after 9/11, have suffered a lot of health issues, damage, or whatever. Why is it so difficult to get independent monitor for the community with all these excuses? And some of the Chinese living there, the residents, they don't speak English. Like me, lucky, I learned both languages, okay? And also, one time I passed by Chong Park, I heard such terrible noise, unbearable noise. It was for a long time, but I can't stay there. I need to go for my errands. But I take a recording. Maybe you guys could hear.
Well, now we have our.
A little bit.
Well, we have our independent monitor now. So any of that, so when was this that you heard that noise?
This one was like, maybe like in 2 months approximately. Do you
Yeah,
want?
so Laura has been there 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So you probably took that recording before Laura started. So Laura Dodge is our independent monitor. And she is going, she's the one that is there to make sure that the interests of the community are always being taken into account.
I know, but I still, even though they have it, right? The noise, even in the future, they build whatever, the noise is going to be.
Well, that's, okay, so that's why we're asking if Laura can be there when they start to do construction, because now they're just doing deconstruction. So we want Laura to stay on the job, so that it has to be another, they have to negotiate another contract with her. She can't just jump from this project to that.
I understand this is in the past.
Right.
But I just want you folks to just listen a little bit, how those residents suffering.
Believe me, I live 100 feet away from this, what was the South Tower. I've gone through years and years of construction noise, so I know what you're talking, whole ramming, boom, boom, boom.
Do you have it
24/7.
Do you have it there?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Well, I'm saying it's before Laura got there, so it's really not relevant at the moment.
Did they
because-
ever have a conversation with Laura to find out what they were, this lady is selling us now, that happened before Laura got there?
Yeah, yeah, there and other.
Thing wrong.
Because there was noise and dust and dirt, and dusting brother. A lot of people have complaints, so that's why we kept.
Understanding how I die.
That's outside?
If you can't hear anything else above that noise, that's pretty loud.
It's open. Yeah. It's not relevant now. You know, sorry that it happened, but it's not.
She's been, it's
Well, it's fixed. All right, it's 8:20. Does anyone have any more questions?
Jan is on, yeah, just Jan.
Hi, Dan. Unmute yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
We can't hear you.
Video issue, Jim.
He's in Disneyland.
Jan, can you try?
Say something.
Oh, we have a CCL who are
Jim, are you
trilingual.
gone? Are you not there?
Our CCL is
All right, we're
are
gonna
trilingual.
go. We're gonna end this conversation. Any other questions? No? Okay, so thank you. You're gonna get back to us with a whole bunch of answers. And Laura, you're gonna be in touch with us, and thank you, Laura. We
Thank you.
appreciate Rich, thank you for being here, as always. Everybody enjoy the holiday, whatever holidays you celebrate. And we'll pick it up again, I guess, in February.
All right, thanks, everybody.
If
Yeah.
I may say, I've had, I've been sick and I like to wish everybody a happy holiday.
Thanks, John.
Happy holidays.
You too, John.
I think we're ending the meeting then.
Yeah.
Good night.
Happy holidays.